Hello everyone, you are on the channel Who Created It and How? Who Discovered Astronomy? Well, it's not as simple as naming one person. Astronomy is one of the oldest sciences, and its story is a global one, built over thousands of years by countless curious minds. So instead of one discoverer, let's talk about the key players who shaped our understanding of the cosmos. Our journey begins way back, with ancient civilizations. Think of the Babylonians around 3000 BC. They weren't just stargazing for fun. They were meticulous observers. They created detailed star charts and could predict celestial events like eclipses. For them, the sky was a calendar and a clock, essential for agriculture and religious festivals. They divided the ecliptic, the sun's path, into 12 equal parts, giving us the zodiac signs we still know today. They weren't trying to understand the physics of the universe, but their systematic records were the very first data points in the long story of astronomy. Then we travel to ancient Greece, where the game completely changed. The Greeks weren't just content with what was happening in the sky. They wanted to know why. Philosophers like Pythagoras, around 500 BC, proposed that the Earth was a sphere. Why? Because a sphere was the most perfect shape, a beautiful mathematical idea. This shift from pure observation to seeking underlying principles was revolutionary. A little later, Aristotle, a true giant of Greek thought, further developed the geocentric model. He argued that the Earth must be stationary at the center of the universe, with the sun, moon, and planets orbiting it in perfect circles. His reasoning was based on observation. We don't feel the Earth moving, do we? And we don't see the stars shifting positions as we would if the Earth were flying through space. His ideas were so logical and comprehensive that they dominated Western thought for almost 2000 years. But not all Greeks agreed. There was a bold thinker named Aristarchus of Samos who, around 270 BC, proposed something radical. He suggested that the sun, not the Earth, was the center of the universe, and that the Earth was just one of the planets orbiting it. This is the first known heliocentric model. He even tried to calculate the relative sizes and distances of the sun and moon. His methods were clever, but his tools were limited, so his numbers were off. But the idea itself? Absolutely brilliant. Sadly, his theory was largely ignored. It was too far ahead of its time, and Aristotle's influence was just too strong. Let's fast forward through the Roman era and the Dark Ages, where much of this Greek knowledge was preserved and built upon by Islamic scholars. They made incredible contributions, improving instruments like the astrolabe, building sophisticated observatories in places like Baghdad and Samarkand, and creating vast, accurate star catalogues. Scholars like al-Battani refined calculations for the length of the year, while al-Sufi identified the Andromeda galaxy long before it was discovered in the West. They were the crucial link, keeping the flame of astronomical inquiry alive and adding fuel to it. Then comes the Renaissance in Europe, and with it a man who would restart the revolution that Aristarchus had hinted at, Nicholas Copernicus. A Polish astronomer and mathematician, Copernicus spent decades working on his heliocentric model. He wasn't happy with the complexity of the existing Earth-centered model, which required all sorts of clunky additions to explain planetary movements. His sun-centered system was more elegant, more mathematically harmonious. He published his groundbreaking work on the revolutions of the heavenly spheres right before his death in 1543, likely to avoid controversy. And controversial it was. It directly challenged religious and scientific orthodoxy. Copernicus set the stage, but it was Galileo Galilei who provided the proof. In the early 1600s, Galileo did something no one had done before. He pointed a newly invented device, the telescope, at the night sky. And what he saw changed everything. He saw mountains and craters on the moon, proving it wasn't a perfect smooth orb. He saw that Jupiter had its own moons orbiting it, a mini solar system that didn't revolve around the Earth. He observed the phases of Venus, which could only be explained if Venus orbited the Sun. This was the knockout punch to the old geocentric model. Galileo's observations provided the hard evidence that Copernicus's theory needed. His work got him into serious trouble with the church, but the truth was out there, shining through his telescope. But there was still a problem. Both Copernicus and Galileo believed the planets moved in perfect circles. This led to inaccuracies in their predictions. The man who solved this puzzle was Johannes Kepler, a German mathematician and a contemporary of Galileo. After painstakingly analyzing years of precise observational data, particularly for the planet Mars, Kepler discovered that the planets don't move in circles at all. They move in ellipses, or ovals. He formulated his 3 laws of planetary motion, which described their orbits with stunning mathematical accuracy. He didn't know why they moved this way, but he described the how perfectly. The final piece of the classical puzzle was put in place by arguably the greatest scientific mind of all time, Sir Isaac Newton. In 1687, Newton published his Principia Mathematica, where he laid out his law of universal gravitation. This was the why that Kepler was missing. Newton's brilliant insight was that the same force that makes an apple fall from a tree is the force that holds the moon in orbit around the Earth and the planets in orbit around the sun. It was a single elegant law that governed both celestial and earthly motion. With Newton, the mechanics of the solar system were finally understood. So, who discovered astronomy? Was it the Babylonian priests charting the stars? Was it the Greek philosophers who first asked why? Was it Copernicus who put the sun back in the center? Galileo who saw the proof? Kepler who found the true shape of the orbits? Or Newton who revealed the universal force behind it all? The answer is, it was all of them. And countless others we haven't even mentioned. Astronomy wasn't discovered by one person in a single eureka moment. It's a grand unfolding story of human curiosity, a cumulative effort spanning continents and millennia. Each generation has stood on the shoulders of the giants who came before them, peering just a little further into the vast, beautiful darkness. And that journey of discovery continues today, with new telescopes and new minds asking new questions. Thanks for watching Who Created It and How. If you enjoyed this journey through time, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next exploration. See you next time.